So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen.
That's right. I'm big.
And I'm small.
That's right. And we're here yet again and enjoying our day. Can't wait to share a little bit of what we've been doing with you guys and talk a little bit back and forth between me and Marit, figuring out value, hypnosis, communication, and all the other cool stuff we've been talking about lately.
Yeah, we're coming down from a big weekend.
Yes, we are.
Had our integrated communication workshop, online workshop.
People did so good.
It's so impressive to see the development people have and how fast they actually use the techniques. It's amazing.
It is. And one of the things that you will constantly do as a human being is communicate. Body language, right? Communication, relationship to, of course, emails and text messages and all this stuff. But your voice, the way you put things together, the way you transfer ideas is extremely important. And things like health, training, relationships, social responsibility, those aren't really taught in school, are they?
No, they're not.
It's kind of weird. Like you have to eat your whole life, but they don't teach you necessarily how to eat for your body type, how to eat for your activity level, how to make good, healthy food for people, make good food choices.
People some people think that cows are purple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of Milka, the chocolate.
Yeah,
brand,
exactly.
And they don't have cows around them, so cows are purple.
Yeah, you talk to like 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds, even in Italy, their mothers make pasta in the kitchen, and you ask them where pasta comes from, and they're like, well, maybe long, thin farms. It's like, so just having general knowledge about things that are important that you have to deal with every day, and communication is one of those things.
And it was such a beautiful thing to see, because we have people in different ages and of course men and women.
Yes.
And everyone contributed, everyone shared at their level, and everyone grew from it. And everyone learned from the other ones in the group. So I can't wait until we can do this in live sessions instead of having to do it online.
Yeah, exactly.
But to have live events where we can be together in the same room. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, was it October, November? We're going to have a huge meditation conference, basically a whole weekend in Agir Pub, it's a giant Viking church.
Just so that said, yeah, it is. Well, first of all, yeah, it is November 6th and 7th. We're going to have 2 days in Agir Pub. We are renting the whole thing. Yeah. Just so that said, it's not alcohol based.
It's not alcohol-induced meditation.
It's the location is a pub, but that location is so much more. It is built like a Viking church, basically, and it's the atmosphere there, and you have a fire pit in the middle, and it's for Norway in November when it's dark and cold, and having a fire pit and talking about integration and communication, of course, there as well, but having that meditation course is going to be amazing.
Going inside, get a hold of your fire and your desire and bringing it to the outside. That's what it's going to be about. You just get ready. It's going to be amazing. The acoustics in that place, we're going to be lifting the roof off that place. It's amazing. Also, of course, outside of course time, if you wanted to have a beer and have Viking meditation, my friend Evan Lewis, he won the world championship several times in beer production, basically the the quality of the beer there is amazing. And what list is Flom on again? What was that?
The UNESCO World Inheritance list.
Yeah.
Is that
So
what
if
it's
you're
called?
in the States and you want to take a trip to Norway, if Corona allows, of course you should come and join us there. We have people from all over Norway and all over Europe that want to come. So if you're in America, get on the plane.
And just as I said, if you want to know more about that, you can just contact us on social media and we will give you all the details. This is open for everyone, but you need to buy a ticket before the event.
Exactly.
And it's gonna be you're gonna have the hotel, dinner, everything's there. So it's gonna be a very strong, big weekend.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful with it is that we're gonna talk about meditation, but meditation in function. So it's perfect for people that have meditated or are new into meditation or wonder what is that meditation mindfulness thing, that word that I have heard about but I don't understand, and I don't think it's me. Well, it is you.
Yeah, right.
You just don't know it yet.
Exactly.
So it's like we say in integrated human, we are integrating it so that you can have it with you all the time and be more present at every moment.
Yeah, everybody's a meditation champion when they're sitting on their yoga mat with their incense going and they're drinking their tea, right?
A yogi tea.
Of course, the yogi tea. But when the rent's late and there's people outside hammering and your kids are crying and you're late for work and you spill something on your pants, where's your Zen then, bro? Right?
And that's what we're going to help you with on that weekend, is
exactly.
to have that meditation state with you wherever you are, instead of just in that box that you meditate in.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think that's going to be amazing. And when we know from experience now how the events we have online works and how the people in it and how we feel connected and how you feel energized and you feel transformed from the weekend, then this one is going to be even better.
Yeah.
So I recommend.
Yeah. Hey, you ready to get dirty?
Yes.
Okay. Listen. Have you ever wondered why people believe conspiracies?
I have a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, right?
I have two guilty pleasures. Shouldn't say this on but I have two. One is serial killers. Netflix documentaries on serial killers. And the other one is conspiracy theories.
Yeah, right.
I love them. I find them so fascinating.
Right.
So those two, and Glee.
Okay, Glee, that's
the
fine.
Musical. That's my guilty pleasures.
Yeah. But I'm sure Glee is actually probably the worst one of all of them.
Hey,
I love Glee.
good.
I love Glee. Yeah.
They're singing. They break into singing and dancing.
They do.
It's very good.
Well, I was asked straight out, some of the techniques that we taught during the communication weekend are extremely powerful. And they're basically why people believe conspiracy theories, because they're so compelling. They're almost so compelling that you wonder, wow, do I dare use these techniques in order to communicate with people? Because you don't want to be that person who's manipulating everybody.
Oh.
Right? Because we talked about hypnotic technique. We talked about Milton Erickson. We talked about basically the structure of language, the structure of communication person to person that gets people to change their belief system. You are a pile of belief systems and identifications if you're a normal person. You know, we joke around and we say that, you know, our personality is the junkyard of the soul, right? Because so many of these things are given to you by your mothers and fathers and
teachers and preachers.
Exactly. And you weren't conscious when they were given to you. And then you're trying to apply your belief systems to the world now, which is maybe not always efficient, because what you believed when you were 6 may be not useful for you when you're 30, right? Because there's a lot of things I believed when I was 6.
Like cows are purple.
Yeah, and don't talk to strangers. Okay, you don't talk to strangers, but if you don't do that as an adult, you probably never meet anybody, and you probably don't function very well in a workplace, right? So there's so many things that people...
Different ages, different rules.
Different ages, different rules, different belief systems, right? So you want to be conscious of this. But the point is that there are certain techniques that we use in language. Some of us naturally, some of us have learned this to basically change people's belief systems. And, you talk about brainwashing, you talk about manipulation, you talk about, people influencing the masses. They use these techniques. And I taught them, and there was a lady who said, oh my God, I just realized that this guy, every time I go into this store, I buy something, I always buy more than I should. And I realized this guy could sell me anything he wants. And I'm like, yeah, because he's using that technique, right? And she's like, that's exactly what he's doing. Have you ever heard of the lizard people conspiracy?
That I haven't gotten into yet.
Oh,
no, I like real life, real things that happened conspiracy, not what the conspiracy.
Yeah, right. But the thing is that what people do is they basically give you things that are true in a certain dose, and then they stretch the truth, or they make a statement about the way things are, and they slowly expand the way things are until you end up basically believing that alien lizard people have come down from some other planet and live in the center of the earth and live off your emotional energy and manipulate you from afar. I mean, we're talking some pretty out of this world, and you're thinking, well, I would never believe anything like that. But when you get
the stretches, the way they stretch it is so subtle.
Exactly.
It's like when you go from warm, burning hot water to cold, you don't jump.
Yeah.
It just like if you're on a bathtub, it doesn't all of a sudden turn cold. It slowly, and then all of a sudden you're in a cold bathtub.
That's it.
And you didn't actually pay attention that you're not in a cold bathtub. So
Exactly.
You went from not believing in lizard people to believing in lizard people.
Yeah, but hey, maybe. And then as soon as you say maybe, the door's open.
Yeah.
And, in the States, Louisiana, they talk about, how do you cook a frog? You put him in cold water and slowly turn up the heat. And then suddenly he's cooked before he knows it. Same thing, it's like, what is it that makes people think that the earth is flat? What is it that makes people think that, the Twin Towers have been blown up? Now, I don't know. I'm not saying one thing or the other. I can say my personal opinion is I don't think that lizard people are running the planet. I'm just saying. But the
Trump
process,
got elected.
Trump got elected. Yeah. Well, that's because Facebook runs the freaking planet.
Well, yeah.
Just saying.
Anyways.
That is not a news channel, people. If you want news, listen to us. I'll tell you more true stuff than Facebook, and Marta definitely will set you straight. So I'm just saying.
Anyways.
Yes. So
don't touch Trump.
Don't touch Trump. Yeah. Yeah, we probably, never mind. Mm-mm. Yeah, we're just going to
continue.
Yes. So anyway, people are always thinking that you can just walk up to somebody and hypnotize them and make them cluck like a chicken.
That's what people are terrified of, yeah.
People are terrified. It's like, did I just cluck like a chicken? But in reality, your subconscious mind actually works for you. The issue is that some people have a subconscious mechanic that they think hating themselves, for example, or having a certain thought pattern or belief system is beneficial for them. So maybe it was beneficial for one thing, but then it's not beneficial anywhere else, but that thing is still stuck there. And then we end up behaving in a way that reproduces a result that was good then, but not good anywhere else, right? So
it's then when you touch into the karma thing that we talked about in an earlier episode here.
That's right.
Yeah.
The decisions you continue to make. Why do you make those decisions? Are
Eating
you conscious?
That cookie every time you go past the cookie jar, or
yeah, exactly. Like, I don't understand why I'm fat. It's I just have bad karma. No, bro, you're eating cookies every time you walk by the fucking jar. Stop pulling a cookie out. Oh, right. And psychotherapy is not going to help you, bro. You have to become aware of it, and you have to figure out, you know what? I'm just not going to put my hand in the jar. Keep my hand in my pocket when I walk past, and then the desire goes away. So karma is very often easy to fix once you understand it, right? So manipulation techniques are used every single day when people sell us stuff on commercials. They emotionally charge something, and then they flash that thing. Anytime you take your nervous system to a peak emotional state, you become aware, or not aware, I'm sorry, more susceptible. You become open to taking in.
Be less aware.
You become less aware, and you become more susceptible to taking ideas, thoughts, belief systems in, right? So,
which could, with different situation, be good or bad.
yeah, absolutely.
But that's how they use it in sales. So when you go in and all of a sudden end up with that paint, did you choose the paint, or did the salesman choose the paint for you?
Exactly, right? He had a whole truckload extra of that color, and suddenly your whole house is that color. And you're like, how did my house turn fuchsia, right? Like, so being aware of the technique, number one, allows you to avoid a lot of the manipulation. You start to recognize when people are doing it to you. And I want to give people that kind of power, because today, my friends, we are in an age of information overload. You make 600,000 choices a day, and probably about 3,000 of them are plus minus conscious. And you are overwhelmed with information, and not necessarily knowledge or stuff that's useful for you. It's a lot of garbage, right?
I have to make a tiny correction. It's
Yeah.
350,000.
350,000. All right.
But 300 of them are the one you are aware of. But then, like you saw in the workshop, people are like, I do not make 350,000 decisions a day. Yeah, you do. It's all from when you wake up to what foot to put down first to.
And all of those things are automated, and you don't notice them.
But there are decisions that's being made.
Exactly. And, like I was bringing up in the podcast before, it's like you want to make conscious decisions for yourself. So it's very important to realize that your subconscious mind does most of your living for you. So you want to program that sucker in an efficient way, right?
Have very good routines so that those automatic decisions are happening in a beneficial way for you and not in a destroying way.
Exactly. So on the way to the workshop, I was playing around a little bit with Marit here, and I was asking her, and there was like two beautiful Porsches parked outside the office. And I said, so you want a red Porsche or a black one? And she's like, oh, black one, right? Now, to start with, I said, you realize that you just got manipulated. And she's like, what? What do you mean? And I said, number one, I've decided that you're going to have a car. Number two, I've decided that you're going to have a Porsche. And then I gave you the idea and feeling that you were going to choose between the two. And she's like, ooh, you sneaky. I don't even like Porsches. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. So the whole point is...
Can't have a Porsche here in Voss. It doesn't work for you.
It doesn't work. The roads
have
are
a
not
farm.
nice enough.
I can't drive. No.
Yeah, not having
Give
it.
me a Toyota.
Exactly. And that's what you're getting, right?
That's what I'm getting.
Yes. So the whole point is that so many times we're presented with options and we think that we're choosing, but we're not choosing. They've chosen for us, and they're guiding us down an alley, right? So do you want soup or do you want a sandwich? I think I'll take a sandwich, thank you. Oh, I just decided you're going to eat. Are you hungry?
No.
No. Just had breakfast like an hour ago. But now you're eating a sandwich. You mean that's how all of those commercials on TV? You can have this or that you can have that. Which one are you going to have? Oh, I'm going to have this. And they show you people who are making decisions. So you therefore want to make a decision. Exactly. So manipulation techniques have been there since human beings were put on the planet. And understanding them helps you protect yourself. But you can also help people find freedom, love, and empower them through your communication. And that's what hypnosis really is. It's about fixing your self-talk and your belief systems on the inside. And it's about expressing love and care and joy and helping lift people around you, right? So one of the ladies was like, yeah, but what about, isn't this hypnosis stuff a little bit manipulative? And I said, Is you giving somebody a loving comment manipulative? Is it bad to want somebody to feel stronger and better? Well, no. And I said, well, that's the point.
What's the intention behind the communication?
Yes.
If my intention is to get something or rule something or win
Or
something,
make somebody do
do
something that
something
they don't want to do, that
or
doesn't
if
serve
it's
them.
to build the people around you, that's
Exactly.
different things.
Yeah.
But you can use the same method.
Yes.
And with knowing these methods that we taught in the workshop, you will actually also be much more aware for when people are trying to manipulate you.
Yes, exactly.
So you get more aware, and that is what we are all about, is to be
Yes.
more aware of
Be
what's
more
happening.
aware.
So life is just not something that went past you, but you're active in it,
Yeah, exactly.
and that you contribute in your life.
Yes. And because you make so few conscious decisions, and most of the decisions you make are unconscious, what ends up happening is that you only have the strength to make a certain number of conscious decisions every single day. So you want to build yourself from the inside out, of course, up, down, inside out. But if you are continually given the option to choose, the option to choose, the option to choose, your mind gets super tired.
And that's why when you at 5, 6, 7 o'clock, and you ask yourself, "What should I have for dinner?" You fucked, man.
Yeah, it's really hard.
too late.
It's too late. Exactly. And
If you made any decisions from the morning, and if you then have kids and a family and a place to work, most likely you've used up your 300 conscious decisions.
yeah, basically.
By then.
Yeah.
Then you end up with a frozen pizza.
You end up with a frozen pizza or whatever the advertising is, or
Yeah.
whatever your habit is.
Whatever
It's like,
you go into the store and they put up, do you want pizza or spring rolls?
exactly.
I want pizza.
Exactly.
And then you don't look at the vegetable, you don't look at the chicken, you don't look at the...
Yeah. You pick whatever they've programmed in the store to be available for you, and it's going to be fast and easy, and it's probably not going to be good for you. And the prefrontal cortex is basically what is developed beyond the normal mammalian stage for us humans. That's where we do our analysis, our higher thinking. That's where you decide stuff. You think in the future, you calculate. Prefrontal cortex. Okay. The limbic system is more of our emotional brain. That's where, like, monkeys have, quite developed emotional brains as well. Same thing with dogs and dolphins and all that. Some whales and dolphins and humans have a relatively well-developed prefrontal cortex. As soon as you get super tired, or if you're very stressed, or if you're distracted, or you relax, what happens to the prefrontal cortex? Is it protecting you?
No.
Exactly. A lot of people think, well, I have a strong mind, therefore I cannot be ever put in a state of hypnosis.
Oh, you're in hypnosis every day, man.
That's exactly right. You are literally in a state. If you are in a culture, if you are in a society, you are by definition hypnotized, because you think this is right and that's wrong, and all your belief systems have come from a certain place, and they're not necessarily something that you've decided.
Your Facebook and Instagram feed are full with what they've chosen for you.
Exactly.
You don't get a variety
Yes.
of decisions or views. You get that one that you're searching for.
Exactly.
So it's not, you don't get the whole picture ever.
And one of the founders of neuro-linguistic programming was traveling around, and he was visiting some of the best therapists in the 70s and 80s to try to figure out what their communication tools were. And the modern father of hypnosis was Milton Erickson, Dr. Milton Erickson. And he was unfortunately bound to a wheelchair. Therefore, he had to use his voice and his mind as his therapy. He couldn't really do a lot of diagnostics like a normal medical doctor. So he developed hypnosis and hypnotic technique in order to help people. And he was wildly successful. And when Richard Bandler went in to meet Milton Erickson, he had decided, he was a psychiatrist himself, he decided not to get hypnotized. He was absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, not getting hypnotized by Milton Erickson. He was not going to fall for the trick, right? And Milton had been doing this for a long time. So he could see, okay, this person's so resistant, they're too stressed out. I'm not even going to throw my energy on this. I know for sure that this is just going to be a battle with this guy. So Bandler had done a little bit of an interview with him, and he said, "You know what? Why don't you come with me?" He's like, "What? Where are we going?" He said, I want you to meet my wife. And you traveled a long way to get here, didn't you? Oh yeah, I did. I traveled a ways. Okay, come with me. And they kind of wheeled themselves. Milton wheeled himself out, and so, well, here's my wife, and asked his wife, could you please make this young gentleman a cup of tea or coffee? What would you like, coffee or tea? No, I'll take a coffee. Okay, have a seat there. And then his wife started making the coffee, and Milton said, "Hey, it's a little difficult for our friend here to kind of allow himself to be hypnotized. Could you please tell him what it's like when you yourself get hypnotized?" And she's like, "Oh, sure, no problem." So she starts making the coffee, and then of course Bandler relaxes and stuff, and then the wife starts talking about how it is and how it feels, and his prefrontal cortex relaxed, and then suddenly 2 hours were gone. What had happened?
Hypnotized.
Yeah, he basically got hypnotized. His prefrontal cortex relaxed, and he became completely open and got to experience a deep state of hypnosis, which, by the way, is very, very, very similar to a very deep state of meditation. And that's the whole point, that when you are an awake individual, you would only use hypnotic technique in order to empower the people around you and to help them find their true selves. Because I'm going to ask you a very interesting question, Marit. We can joke backwards and forwards, but seriously, if you were going to surround yourself with people, would you surround yourself with people who are powerful, intelligent, capable, and wonderful? Or would you surround yourself with people who are broken and enslaved?
So you're saying I'm going to surround myself with people.
Yes, right,
You have
right.
to say, no,
Yeah,
number one, of course.
Of course, everybody wants empowered people around them. Do you want somebody who inspires you, or do you want somebody who's basically whipped and beaten and your slave? You want empowered, positive, and forward-moving people in your life, and that's how you would communicate. People think that they can be them without people around them, but you're only them in relationship to others. Oh, you're a world champion in jiu-jitsu, except that you're on an island with no people, which means there is no jiu-jitsu. So how are you world champion? Okay, well, nobody showed up at my tournament. Understand, you need people. We need people in society. We need people to serve. So empowering people. So hypnotic technique, neurolinguistic programming. We went through some of those techniques, of course, that I've learned over a long life. I've had the great pleasure of sitting next to and learning from people who are very high level in hypnosis and in neurolinguistic programming and in meditation. So we had this workshop. People rocked it. They were so powerful and they were communicating so well. And interestingly enough, every single one of them were already using some of these techniques quite well before the actual workshop. So we naturally have, each one of us, pieces of this brilliance, right? So what was the thing that hit you the most?
No, I said in the beginning,
Yeah.
It was just very empowering to see people discovering new sides with themselves and learning about themselves more and how they can create more value for the people around them as well.
Exactly.
Because that is actually what I want to talk about today, was that we have, we asked, some time ago, you asked me a very interesting question. And you have to hear the difference between two questions here. Because the one is, are you valuable? Of course. That's not the question. Mm-hmm. Everyone is valuable. Mm-hmm. But the question you ask, are you creating value? Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. Because we think we are entitled often because we are living and we are breathing and we're fantastic human beings
Yeah.
and we are valuable. So, of course. But are you creating value?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So how do you see it?
I don't give me more.
Yeah, right. Well, when I had these conversations with people, especially younger people, I always bring up the idea of cash. Like if you have $100 or if I have $100, it's still $100.
$100 is $100.
Right. So I say to, Joe X over here, I will pay you $100 for this job. I want you to fix the window. Right. And he fixes the window, maybe. And does he tear up my floors? Does he make a mess? Does he cost me a lot of other problems? Does he break another window while he's fixing the first one? Some people, you pay $100 for a job and they actually cost you money. They cost you money.
Incredibly, and yes.
Yeah, right? And then you have people who do exactly what they've agreed, and you feel the job's worth $100 and you pay them $100 and they do exactly the job and they move on.
So then you go,
Yeah.
they have the exact same value.
Yeah. Equity.
Yeah.
It's equity, right? It's equitable. But then you have people like you, Marit, who go above and beyond. Not only do you do the job that's agreed upon, but you find ways to give so much more. So you fill up your place, and then what generally happens when you fill up your place?
The box, like we could say, we have a box that you fill up, then the box expands because it has to expand.
It has to
So I
expand.
get more opportunities to do other stuff.
Exactly, right?
My in the army, I was supposed to work. My plan was a 10-year plan.
Yeah,
I finished in 3 years.
exactly, right? Because those doors just open for you because they see what quality of a human being you are. They see that you take the responsibility. They see that you look for ways to increase your efficiency and increase the service that you can provide. That's providing value, right? So,
And then you get to the point where you pay that person $100, but they provide value for $1,500.
Yeah.
$150. So you actually gain the person you worked for gained actually $50.
Exactly. And then you know that not only do you have job security, but you will be getting the option to upgrade your position at some point. A lot of people walk around thinking that because I show up at work, I deserve a paycheck. And not only when I show up at work, do I just deserve a paycheck because I'm moi, but you better make it pleasurable and make it fun for me to be at work.
Yeah, we don't look at ourselves in that situation.
Exactly.
Because we feel often that, no, this is just... Because society works with you getting a job, you're going to do something, and then the boss, he pays you, and you go out. But yeah, do you ask... Like in Norway, say you get $20 an hour. Something like that, plus minus. But do you ask yourself, do I provide $20 of value to my workplace every hour?
Yeah, that's it.
Do I give that back?
Exactly. Because most people behave the first 6 months to a year when they're learning the job, and then they spend the next year trying to figure out how to avoid doing the job that they learned how to do. You're the only person that I've had who, over a course of 4 or 5 years, has continuously every month I could tell you this is what she's improved, this is what she's doing better, this is how she expanded her work description, right? And you're like, oh, that sounds exhausting. It has to do with making yourself feel valuable and creating value around you. Because again, would you rather have a workplace that you go to where you're trying to avoid doing work, or would you like a workplace where you feel empowered, where you own that? You own your position. You take pride in that. Do you want to take pride in your everyday, or do you want to walk away thinking that you were a scoundrel, that I tricked everybody. I was in the bathroom the whole day where my colleagues took the work, and nobody noticed I was gone.
No, it's people like now it's summertime here in Norway, and we're taking a late summer vacation. Usually we go to Las Vegas and worlds master worlds in
compete.
jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Not this year, but we're taking a light vacation. People are like, oh, you don't haven't you guys had vacation yet? Like, I, I'm lucky enough to work in a place where I don't feel like I have to take vacation. I should, because it's good
Yeah.
for you to go out and
Yeah.
do something else. So
Absolutely.
for your mental and emotional and health
For
and just keep
balance.
the drive, you need vacation
Yeah.
for that. And I should take it for that, but I don't need vacation from work in itself. 'Cause
Exactly.
in my head, I've always thought that for me, it doesn't matter what I'm doing
Yeah.
as work, as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
So for me, if I'm working in a grocery store, or if I'm in the army, or if I'm in a secretary, the status of it has never been the goal, but me in it has been the goal, my state in it.
Yeah.
And with having to stay at work at least for 7.5 hours a day, I figured it's better to own it.
Yeah. I don't think you and I have ever just had a 7.5 hour day.
Now we don't roll like that.
No.
We are still here. So
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
but that's the thing. And for me, the whole question with, are you providing $20 of value to the place you're working this hour?
Yeah.
And it's an interesting question,
Yeah.
because it just turns it a little bit, so you also feel a little bit great. You feel more grateful for the work you have,
Absolutely.
and maybe you start to understand the hierarchy a little bit better, because often, like, and I've been there, you are one of the many, and the system never understands you.
Right.
But it's not that easy for the system, because if they have to employ a new person, they lose money on that person a lot the first half year.
Yeah. Actually,
3 months or
yeah,
half, but
more the year that you directly lose money on a person, regardless of position. Regardless of position, whether you're frying fries in McDonald's or you are, a legal secretary or you're a surgeon, the business
Business.
the business will lose money on you because they have to apply resources, number one, to train you.
So then you have, for a while, you have two people often doing
One
one job, because
And
the
then-
one had to follow up the other one.
and then you're gonna mess up.
Of course,
Okay.
everyone messes up.
Everybody
That's how it
messes up,
is.
and you mess up much less later. And then, like I said, once you get to that 1 year, most people start to do what?
They start to figure out a way to do it without actually putting in too much effort.
Yeah,
and that's the
exactly.
natural
Yeah.
way for us to work,
Right.
because our brain kind of wanted to have it calm and easy and not stressed, because
That's
we are
survival.
after all monkeys.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, that part of us are, and you wanna get a hold of that delicious fruit. You want to figure out, okay, do I have to climb the tree to pull it out, or do I just shake it and 5 fall out? Of course, that efficiency thinking is something that's
It's in us.
inborn and in us. The question is, are you using your efficiency thinking to reduce yourself, meaning do less work and make it look like you're doing the work, or are you
And do you
improving
think
yourself?
that creates irritation in your workplace?
Yeah, not only irritation, but it's lag, and also if you think about work as part of who you are. So
You spend at least 7.5 hours there a day.
yeah, that's a third of your life. Think about that. If you think 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, that's 24 hours. Like, you have 8 hours at work, 8 hours for yourself, and 8 hours sleeping. Okay. And maybe you're like, well, I only sleep 6 hours a day. Okay. That's a fourth. That's
Details.
good for you. Then get another job, because you don't have to sleep as much as everybody else, or find something else. But what I'm saying is, are you reducing yourself and your quality as a human being by learning how to be lazier and doing less and experiencing less? Or are you working towards filling up your spot, expanding it so that box that you're working in gets blown up and somebody recognizes your excellence,
And
you
they
get a
will, because
promotion?
that's the natural thing
And
of
they
it.
will.
So if you blow up the box in the way that you expand it, and you provide value,
Yes.
you're gonna get more. That's just how it is.
Mm.
And that's why, like, you spent, so for the people that they joined us for the workshop, you learn about communication. What if you use your time at work to build that communication. You do not only talk to your kids and your husband and your wife at home. You talk to your colleagues. You talk to patients. You talk to clients. You talk, because again, we communicate everywhere. So why don't you use that time? It's 7.5 hours or 8 hours to actually build yourself. Get repetitions. You're there anyways.
Exactly.
You're stuck there. So you're gonna sit on your phone and scroll and look at Ibiza and Bahamas and drinks.
Yeah.
Or are you gonna start looking at people and trying to figure out a way to build where you are?
I landed in Chicago O'Hare Airport on it late at night. Crappy flight. People were pissed off, and we're in a big line outside of Starbucks. And this lady's like, she just looks at us, and people are not being kind, and it's late. You could see that she'd been there a long time, okay? And she was doing her best to wrangle people and give them what they needed and get them out, get them processed and stuff. And she was like, yep, what do you want? You know, you could just hear from her voice, like, okay, the last thing that she needs is for me to have a special order. The last thing she needs is for me to give her any kind of difficulty here. She was at the point where she was functioning, but she wasn't doing any interpersonal connection. Like a good in service, when you're in service with people, you want to connect. Just like really good conversation or communication, you first connect with a person. You have to find that vibe. And sometimes it's a look, sometimes it's a moment, sometimes it's a word, sometimes, it's a
But
posture.
you can ask yourself the question when she goes, yeah, is she providing value for Starbucks there?
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, she's not.
She's actually not.
Costing them money.
She costs them money because people are going to react to it because they're already irritated.
So, yeah, because it's late at night, you just want a coffee, and that lady that's going to serve you the coffee, which you paid for,
yes,
can even give you a smile or even take your order.
Yeah, right?
Then you're going to go, I'm not going here again.
Exactly. So I'm standing there and I just said, I just want to tell you one thing, and I'm sorry, I know you're busy, but it's people like you that make America great. And she looked up and I said, people who show up and do the job regardless, people who wade through waist deep crap every single day to make sure it's quality, make sure people get what they need, make sure everybody's moving forward. Do you know how much this coffee means to me? I'm going into a big meeting and I need to read all night long and I need this coffee so bad. I'm so jet lagged. I just want to say you're making a difference for me. You're making a huge difference for my job. Thank you so much. And she took a step back. She literally physically took a step back. That's the first time she'd been seen probably all day long, maybe for weeks or a month. I don't know. But do you think I got good coffee?
You got excellent coffee.
I got hearts on my cup. And not only that, but she spelt my name right. I was like,
well,
woo.
Jason, it's not
right?
that hard.
But man, I've seen my name spelled so many times, like so many weird ways at Starbucks. Anyway.
That doesn't beat our friend Röskers.
That's true.
But
That's
he has
funny.
a difficult name to write on Starbucks.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
But the point is that think about this. If you were empowering people around you, if you empowered yourself to give that little extra positive communication, how do you think your life would be? Would you surround yourself with people who like being with you and that want to give you that hearts on the cup and the special coffee? Of course.
And how would the environment in that workplace be, or that friend group?
Exactly.
Or in your family?
Yeah.
Be.
It's like, oh, I hate my workplace. Why? Because it's filled with assholes. Oh, really? Yeah, nobody cares about anybody. Uh-huh. And what about you?
How have you care?
Have you shown anybody that you care? Well, last week somebody said something to me and I'm not talking to any of them. It's like, oh, really? Okay, so whatever happened, you didn't feel good. So instead of appreciating and lifting people around you, because that's actually the whole point, if you are feeling full inside and sharing that, the reward is actually feeling full inside. And then when you share that, they feel full. And the times that you're not feeling full, they fill you back up. It's a positive cycle.
And then, but fair enough. Sometimes you are in a workplace where that is not the place you should work, but it has to do with who you are. So then the next one gonna come.
Yeah, and if you're an alchemist and you can change that, do. Like this is kind of a funny story, but during COVID, I started playing video games. I started initially to help one of my friends understand tactics and strategies, because I'm the grandson of the great War Daddy, who was the most successful tank division commander in American history.
In World War, and
In World War
he
II.
was in World War Two.
If you play World of Tanks, he's one of the figures there, guys. I mean, he's an epic hero. If you look him up, LG Pool, Lafayette Green Pool on Wikipedia, it will blow your mind. In 90 days of war, I think he took out 1,500 Nazis and took 1,000 prisoners. Like, it's a whole nother level. Him and his tanker crew didn't lose one person. They took out 12 Panzer tanks with Shermans. Okay, so like it's strategy and tactics.
You like strategy and tactics.
Yeah, it's in our family, right? And we've been talking about it since I was a child. I was on his knee. So I was teaching my friend strategy and tactics, and I'm telling you, a lot of these online groups are super toxic. It's all about, flaming and cursing and putting people down. And when you're anonymous, you can be really ugly.
Yeah, people are ugly.
It's like the comments on Facebook and Instagram on some of these sites are insane, right? So I decided not only was I going to become one of the better players in this game, which I did, and I'm now on the best team in Europe, but I wanted to slowly but surely change the elite to a positive, loving environment. Weirdly enough, before there were these emojis that you could flash during the game. Before, it was poop and toilet paper and all this stuff that you were throwing at people when you throwing poop when you would kill them or whatever. Guess what the most popular one is now?
Heart.
The heart. Because I consciously worked through excellent tactics and strategies, became somebody that they would like to be, and then modeled a positive way of being. And now there are whole movements inside this game. Yeah, we're just cutting out the toxicity, and we want to be a great community, and we want to fight, on the field, and then we want to be friends off the field, and all this. And I'm like, yeah, be friends on the field too, but just fight hard. Same thing we do in jiu-jitsu, right? So you can make a change everywhere you are, but that, of course, means that you need to be a leader, which means providing value. Now, can you be a person who's cooking fries? You're like, well, I'm not a leader. I just work behind the counter at McDonald's. You're a leader where you're standing. Do you own your job? Are you the boss when you're cooking the fries?
Are you providing service? Are you providing, like I told you in one of the early episodes, I said I would go to one of the gas stations here to tank my car, and when I'm going to pay, if a specific guy were in the back, I would order a burger.
Right.
Even if I didn't want a burger, but I knew that when he serves me a burger, it's excellent. So he was providing much more for the gas station than what he was paid.
Yeah, and then he got the upgrade to where?
The Michelin restaurant in Bergen.
Exactly, right? So he basically had earned his spot of glory in the halls of Michelin Guide, right?
It's about, again, creating value.
Yeah, basically.
And you can do that everywhere. Because it's about just being better, providing more.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you throw yourself under the bus so the people walk over you.
Exactly.
Opposite.
Yeah. And this is an interesting dilemma, because do you really want to give your best to everybody in every situation? Or do you want to hold your best back for the time it counts?
Hold it back for the time it counts.
Right? That's the idea that people have, right? So I have a friend, and he was in a relationship, long-term relationship, and with a woman who wasn't really committed to him. And he treated her like a queen. He gave up his life, and he would travel, 2 hours to work because they moved away. She didn't want to live where he was working, and he would have to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and travel and work 16-hour days. And it was crazy for him to get back to her and worship her, basically. So she was like plus minus hot, cold on him, you know. So he asked her to marry him after three years of being together like this. And he was giving up everything for her. And she was like, nah, I don't think so. Right. And then I would say that he's very enthusiastic and the guy's a wonderful person. And it didn't go too long, maybe half a year again. Then he asked again. And she's like, don't think so. Right. And that broke him. And we were having this conversation and he's like, dude, I've thrown my life away. I've thrown my life away. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I've just spent 4 years of my life with a woman who doesn't really care. And I said, but have you treated her like a lifelong partner? And he was like, yeah. So what you're telling me is that you've been training to be the best husband ever. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. And she's been training being a half committed girlfriend. So she has skills as a half committed girlfriend, but you have developed the skills of a person who's committed and in love and wants to be with the person for the rest of her life. You basically have trained for 4 years becoming the best husband ever. Oh yeah, I guess I have. Oh, is that throwing away time, or is that actually preparing for the woman who's actually going to show up in your life and is going to be worthy of that? And he was like, oh my God. Oh my God. So are you going to hold back your best at work or in your relationships for the time it counts and try to shortchange yourself and everybody else by doing just enough to get by? Or are you going to fucking level up and fill up the box? Because remember, my friends, you compete like you train. So you're going to train high quality so you can compete high quality. So the moment it counts, who you are inside and what you've trained, what you've practiced comes out. So you're going to practice excellence, filling up the box, empowering people around you, or you're going to practice being less.
Leaving with that, people.
All right. Remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared. And then your energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.